Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of 2023. This is the Sports Pod. My name is Ian Asabo, your host, and it's fantastic to welcome you to this new year. Well, a lot has been going on these last few days, all towards leading up to the new year, that I failed to actually get time to be able to record one episode, and it has been a fantastic closeout towards the end of the year in terms of what has been happening. Sport doesn't stop, so everything is going on at 100 miles an hour, and it's hard to keep up with what is going on. But this brings me to the first episode of Sports Sport. It's a new year, and I just want to talk about the recent University East African Games that were in Deji. That's the end of last year, from 16th to 21st. I was there, had a fantastic experience. I was able actually to work with Indeja University TV, that's the television for the host station, and it was a fantastic experience. I got to meet new people, got to make friends, got to learn about different sporting cultures and what it takes for athletes to be able to do what they do on big stages. I'll give an example of Taekwondo. I didn't know much about it, but I ended up commentating on the games right there in Indeji, and it was a fantastic experience because I got to know now the niche that needs an athlete to be able to work on different games. Funny enough, I didn't believe chess was a sport, like a real sport, but it turns out that there's a lot of preparation that goes on in terms of playing chess. So, very many games that took place. As you got to know the results, actually 4 out of 5, the top 5 universities came from Uganda, so it was a fantastic event for Uganda teams all around. And yeah, hopefully you can be able to kick on, because university level is actually the last stage where you get athletes competing at the same level before they can actually make it professional. So kudos to those involved in organizing the tournament. It was fantastic. Obviously, there were challenges involved. That happens with every event that's being organized. But hey, it was a fantastic tournament, and hopefully the next edition in 2024, which will be in Kenya, will be a fantastic event. So I just want to talk about there was a national sports forum that was held yesterday by a state minister for sport, that is Mr. Patrick Ogwang, and he talked about. I got to get some main topics about that. He talked about the sports budget being slashed by a whooping 65%. That is from 47 billion to 17 billion, and that is a slap in the face for very many sports fans, pundits, players alike at the beginning of the new year, because you expected, with the successes that we have had in the previous year for sports, or the budget to be kicked on, and people could start taking sports more seriously. First of all, as something that could actually make you money in terms of going professional and everything that is connected to it. Just a recap of some of the achievements that we had last year in terms of what happened in the country. You get the Africa Men's Sevens that Uganda was able to win at home, that they hosted, the Africa T20 Cup that you won in South Africa, the top, as I mentioned, the University, East African Games, we had the top 3 coming from Uganda. We had Joshua Cheptegei impressing in Oregon and in Spain, flying the country's flag so high. The first Uganda women's team to be able to go to an AFCON tournament in a whole generation. So there was a lot of positives that left us with a big smile in 2022, but we hope that things would kick on maybe this year. And then hearing this kind of news is something that is a bit demoralizing for everyone that is connected to the sports fraternity, and this includes the journalists, the pundits, as I mentioned, the players, and even the fans, because without fans then we wouldn't have any sport. So I think it is time we need to have solutions to be able to have. We need to have solutions for the various problems that are rising in terms of the fluctuating budget prices of the sports sector in Uganda. We need to establish solutions, and quick solutions, because sport has so much impact, not just in communities but amongst people, in terms of job creation, in terms of it's everything connected to that. And having this, and it has the potential to provide actually so much for the economy, that we find that it is actually quite struggling. I read actually somewhere in terms of the 2019 report collected by the UK government about the Premier League, that is the best league in the world anyway, the Premier League contributing around 11.9 billion pounds to their 2.2 trillion budget. So you find that sports has a lot of potential in establishing what is needed for an economy to stand, and people need to give sports a chance, because it has so many values in terms of integrity, life values basically. So Why would the budget get slashed? That's the question that I'd pose to you, the viewers, and you could leave your comments in the comment section. Obviously, you also talked about 2023 being a year where we're going to prioritize more of the athletes who obviously are the number one priority in the sector, because they do get to put their bodies on the line to be able to entertain us as fans, as viewers, as pundits, journalists. We get to talk about them. That's how we get paid anyway. So the improvement of the welfare of all athletes involved, how do we do that, yet we have the budget being slashed? You already have problems of people crying out for allowances and salaries that have not been coming in for months at various clubs. I wouldn't call them professional, because I actually believe that most of our leagues in Uganda are semi-professional, because you can't have half of the teams in some games like basketball where players don't even get salaries. So how are you going to solve and rectify these issues if the athletes are the number one priority in the sports sector, of which they are? We need to establish solutions, as just the beginning of that. We need to establish vital solutions that are going to help us kick on and definitely try and improve the sports sector. And I think one of them must be the striving towards professionalism. As I mentioned, they are almost half in the basketball, in NBL, half of the teams players are not getting salaries, because you find that they may be playing for universities and the rest are private owned teams. You do not have enough money that is being kept in the league and for the league. So you have those kind of issues, and those issues are going to keep arising until we have proper structure in the way clubs are administrated, the way clubs are run, even the way education is perceived, in terms of which players are getting the right education, the right sports education, not just education in general. As I said, I was at the East African Games, and I got to move around and ask various sports administrators from around East Africa why the education, what kind of education they do provide their athletes. And you find that universities there have courses, they have various sporting courses. The only one I can see from Uganda is in Deje, who have a sports science course, and the rest, like top power universities like Uganda Christian University, where I'm from actually, do not have these education courses. And it's not just education courses being there for the sake. Most of these athletes are going to study, and they do get facilitated in terms of education, because they play for the universities. But then what happens to life after they are done with education? Some might go pro, others might not go pro, but you need that education in order to provide, in order to help them grow. And they will not only become facilitators in terms of coaches, they'll become representatives. There's so many opportunities connected with the sports fraternity. That is why, if you find comments even from our head of state saying that sports is just a game and you cannot make money out of it, or you're not working, that kind of takes you aback, because of the diversity of sports and what opportunities it creates for people. So that is something we should definitely look at as a country, and those in the National Council of Sports, those in the education sector, and those in the government of Uganda, that we have to find ways of actually trying to find money. Maybe if it's private owned, because you cannot keep depending on the government for money. Improve the leagues, have proper structure in the leagues, then you can be able to attract investors to be able to invest in the league, and then you can kick on from there on. So that is just something small that I did pick up from the National Sports Forum for National Federations yesterday. And whatever that is cooking up this year, I cannot mention it right now, but we have a lot that is going to go on. I'll keep on bringing it to you episode by episode, but thank you for tuning in for the first episode of the Sports Pod. This is episode 1, 2023. I remain your host, Ian Asabo, and have a nice day.